What's up, my people? ¿Qué pasa? Welcome. Bienvenidos to another episode of Hoy en Día TV. It is the new year. Feliz Año Nuevo. I am your host, Yessie Rodriguez. Hope you all are blessed. And let me bring on my co-host, Manny Morales. Manny, welcome to the stage.
Bendiciones, bendiciones, mi gente. ¿Cómo estamos? How's your new year? Yeah, how's it going? How's everybody going? Yeah, y'all just caught me trying to say hello to everybody on Facebook land. So
it's all good.
Going? Feliz? No, that's Christmas. That's Christmas.
Yeah, we passed that phase. Feliz Año Nuevo. Happy New Year.
I can't believe it. 2025. 2024 was like quick. Like it just went like this. I don't know. It was quick. So, let's hope that 2025 brings more prosperity and success for a lot of our viewers and for you as well. I know it will for me.
Thank you.
I have ideas.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I love it. And what's interesting? I was reflecting back. This was probably a few months ago, how when you were a kid, and I don't know if you can relate, but when I was a kid, I feel like time went by so slow.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And time was like, oh, I'm bored, I'm this, I'm that. And then, your mom's like, espera, deja que tú estés grande. Wait till you get older.
Right.
Eso no va a pasar. And then sure enough, I was like, now we're like this.
Exactly. And it's like, I used to be like, y'all got it easy. Like, I wish I was a grown up. Now it's like, y'all were right. I wish I was still a kid. I hate adulting. Adulting sucks.
It doesn't suck all the way. It's just tough.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's challenging.
Right.
And I think what happens, I've noticed, because me being like to analyze different things, and I see that most people stay stuck in like the past.
Right.
And they don't know how to move present.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at what point can we grow and evolve if you're stuck in the old ways?
Right. I agree with you. And we just had that conversation off air. Remember, I was talking about, speaking of the new year, January 1st really isn't the new year. It was implemented back into 1800s by some Romans. I don't know the whole thing. I read it, but to retain it, I have to read it a couple times because I'm really slow. But anyway, they created January and February to make the calendar, and they deemed January 1st to be the actual first of the year. But to be honest with you, that's really not the first of the year. The beginning of the year is when the life begins to happen. The spring, when plants start to grow, flowers start to grow, just all nature gets busy again. That's the actual beginning of the year when people didn't have calendars, people didn't have watches and stuff to tell time. That's when they deemed the new year was because new life, and a lot of people don't conform to the new year, knowing that knowledge. And they try to stay in the past, like you just said. A lot of people don't try to conform, and they don't want to, be a part of the new. They want to stay in the past. But yeah, that's just a little insight. A lot of people don't celebrate the new year, and I feel like there's pros and cons to it. Because with the cold comes more alcohol drinking because people are cold and they want to warm up. And aggression and fights and violence. And I believe that excited the Romans. And I believe that's why they chose the wintertime, because they knew that people were more aggressive when they drunk in the cold. And, that was their entertainment. Watching people, either get killed or beat up or stuff like that. And it just continued on. And this is just my opinion. When I was a kid, we celebrated it. Every year, my mom watches the ball drop. Every year, my mom watches the parade for Thanksgiving. My mom loves Christmas. My mom loves Thanksgiving, even though, Thanksgiving was part of genocide. But anyway, we're not going to talk about Thanksgiving because that was last year. So just, some facts and information for people that don't know, because you didn't know. You didn't know spring was considered technically the first of the year.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you said, doing research, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. And so for those who are curious and interested, I definitely, like we always encourage you, do your research. This is information that we share on this platform on Hoy en Dia TV. We do our homework, we research, we study this. We're not just sharing whatever with you because we are reputable. We want to make sure that our credibility remains intact. We use reputable and credible sources.
And not only that, but, just to honor and pay homage to, other people's way of thinking. And we want to respect those people. We don't just want to be one-sided. So I come into different knowledge with unbiased, and I read up on it and I try to, gauge, and then either I adopt it to my, personal life or I don't, so. Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up about knowledge, because I've noticed there's been a good amount of people where they get really passionate. Like if you try to have a respectable conversation with them where you're disputing or disputing what they claim to be knowledge or what have you, because you have the sources, you have the paperwork in black and white, you've done your research, and yet they still get upset and passionate. It's not that we are, we're not saying that how you feel is wrong. We're just sharing that what we found just debunks, a little bit about what you have been taught. Because growing up, we were taught different things. And then as adults, you figure out, oh, this wasn't true. Oh, this is true. This wasn't true. Blah, blah, blah. This happens. Even like with Santa Claus. My whole thing is I respect the parents and the families that teach their kids that Santa Claus is real. That's more power to you. But I'm teaching my kid that Santa Claus isn't real. And if Santa Claus is real, I haven't met Santa Claus, but I'm Santa Claus.
and he has a bill straight up. Like if there's a Santa Claus, he has a bill right now. He needs to
absolutely. But this is why though, because I don't want to lie to my child at an early age. To me, I'm lying. If I tell my son there's a Santa Claus, I'm lying to my child, and that's not going to sit well with me because I don't like lying.
Exactly.
Like I like to keep it 100. And again, if for you parents who do that, more power to you. I'm not saying that you're wrong. This is just your choice. My choice is this is how I'm thinking, and I choose not to do that. You know what I'm saying?
And Christmas technically is a pagan holiday. I don't know all the information. I did research a long time ago, and I can't remember exactly the details, but Christmas was a pagan holiday, and Santa Claus is actually, I believe, a pagan god that they transformed into, old Saint Nick. And I believe a lot of these holidays are big businesses trying to generate revenue,
Absolutely.
And a lot of this stuff stems from the Romans and wanting to control the masses, but I don't want to go that down that road because it's a deep road. There's definitely a deep road. Christianity was a form of brainwash. I'm not saying that I don't believe in God or be a higher power, but like Christianity was a form of brainwashing. They wanted people to they wanted to control the people, and that was the way to do it with religion, or scare them to say that if they don't believe in something that they're going to go to hell or die.
Yep.
So
yeah,
I do research. Yeah.
Me and Ra definitely had that conversation yesterday, and it's so interesting that you're bringing it up. Wow, that's just it's kind of scary.
Shout out to Ra. Yeah,
right. Because
eyes open.
Yeah, I mean, and I definitely give shout out to Rob because he's definitely into the research, into the homework. Like he goes really, really, really deep, and like deep, where
it's deep.
It's deep. Oh, yeah.
It's really deep. a lot of information that the Romans and the people in power don't want you to know, because if you know, you could we could essentially take over, and change everybody's way of life. But it's so messed up now that I don't think that there's so many people that don't believe,
Right.
and they just want to continue to be, cattle, following, the same thing. So I mean, it is what it is. I still love every viewer that still believes in Christianity. I don't knock anybody, that if whatever you believe in, whether you're a Christian or LGBT, y'all are cool with me, as long as you give me the respect and I give you the respect. That's what it all boils down to, respect.
Right. It's okay to agree to disagree. You can have different differences and opinions, and we can all coexist and live together. And with that, I agree with you with regards to religion. I believe that there is a God. I believe in spirituality.
Right.
I'm just not a big believer in the whole religion thing. And for those who are believers, more power to you. That's your choice. I'm just sharing with you how I feel.
Right.
Because that's just how I feel. I mean, there's so many miracles that happen in this world. And even the question about a few weeks ago, I came across an individual who didn't believe in aliens or didn't believe in other life. And it's like, if you really sit down and think about it, because I actually did the research yesterday, we're only one universe amongst different universes, and we have different galaxy or Milky Way galaxies or what have you, whatever the galaxies are called. And so I don't know how a person can sit here and think that we're just only one species of whatever. I mean, we're called humans, Homo sapiens, or what have you. That we're only one species, and there are all these galaxies and this and that, and there's nothing else that exists. Like, come on now.
Brainwashing. They want you to believe that they are the only power in this world. That's why the government has been covering up aliens, and they don't want people to know because, people can't handle it. No, it's because you want to be in control. You don't want people to think that there's other life out there, Yep.
Ding, 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 ding. Absolutely. You nailed it. Nita, hello. Happy New Year.
Hola, mamá. ¿Cómo está?
Shout out to Nita. She's always so supportive.
Yes.
So
Shameless plug, Sense of Peace candles, senseofpeace.com. She has amazing scented candles. 100% soy wax, 100% candle wicks. Amazing.
Absolutely. Yes. And talking about amazing, it's coming to a point where we are going to transition into our special guest. I think we are. Let's see. We're gonna. He reached out and said that he believes the audio is working. So so let me get this together here. All right. So I will say this. Oh wait, before we do that, Anita said something here. We found out about Santa when our parents were placing clothes on the couch for us. We had a chimney too. That's hilarious. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Anita. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So this special guest, I've had the honor of knowing for years.
Really?
I've known Dr. Syme since 2000 when I entered Milwaukee High School of the Arts in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And he was one of my music teachers because I studied opera and jazz and music, and then along with theater. So the good thing about Milwaukee High School of the Arts is it lets you like try different things. And so my realm was music and theater. Okay. And so, yes. And so I'm truly honored that he agreed to come on, and he's a dear friend of mine. So Dr. Syme, DMA, a guitarist since the age of 9, has performed in nearly every conceivable type of ensemble throughout a career that has spanned 4 decades. Wow.
That's
from
amazing.
Solo jazz or classical guitar, duos with innumerable instrumentalists and or vocalists, rock, blues, jazz, funk, R&B, big band, and musical theater. That's a lot. Dr. Syme has done it all. He is also quite an active teacher, maintaining an active private teaching studio, serving as the director of jazz studies at the Milwaukee High School of the Arts from 2001 through 2023. Also, Milwaukee High School of the Arts is known for MHSA, shout out, and rhythm section coach for Wisconsin State Honors Jazz Ensemble from 2020 through 2022, and was the Wisconsin Music Education Association state chair for jazz education from 2014 through 2018. He is currently adjunct faculty teaching guitar at the University of Wisconsin Whitewater. So welcome to Hoy en Día TV, Dr. Doug Syme.
Bienvenidos. What's going on, my man? Bendiciones. How's it going? Audio's still not working.
Audio still, okay, yep. Okay, well, it's fine. Me and Manny will continue to talk here. But yeah, so it's been good. You know, I will say Milwaukee High School of the Arts has been, I missed it actually. We had so much fun. You learned, but you learned differently. You still got your regular curriculum, and then you were able to focus on your arts. And it was just fun. It was, it went by quick.
Like I did drums when I was in school, but and my parents bought the drumsticks and all that stuff, and I played for a little while, but I never really pursued it. Because I mean, they bought me the drumsticks because I asked. They weren't like, hey, you know, how's it going? And I didn't really have that much support. So, but then again, you know, my parents never really graduated school. You know, they had to go to work at an early age. So it was like their emphasis wasn't really on school, you know, but it would have been cool to be a drummer. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people they've made some good careers, people that I've known working as a drummer, like with major artists too. Right. So drummer, yeah. I mean, it's never too late. If you want to go back now, do it. Study drumming.
I did drums, and then I did chorus. So I've been actually thinking about doing some singing. So that might be coming up here soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of singing are you thinking about, Manny?
Have you ever heard of the gentleman named Michael Bublé? I love his music. You should listen to his music. He does a lot of Frank Sinatra music, but he has his own music as well. But like his voice is amazing, and like I love his music. So something like that. But I was thinking about putting a twist to it and actually singing it in Spanish instead of English. So
okay, yeah. That's going to be really interesting. I'm curious to see how that's going to come out. That sounds dope.
It keeps eating at me, like, you know, when you have an idea and it eats at you, and it's like you have to do it. But you know, some ideas you're like, you think of it and it just goes away. This one, it hasn't gone away yet. So you know, I just have to start. You know, I'll record something and put it on social media, see what the viewers think.
So it's like that's your like underlying passion, where you're like, music.
Yeah. I love singing. Like when I was in choir, I have a video of me singing, and it was cool. You know,
I never knew this about you.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to keep my life private. Nah, it was a long time ago. This was in Philadelphia before I even moved to Virginia. I started drums in Virginia, I think it was. Or was it Philadelphia? I think both of them were Philadelphia before I got to Virginia. And then we moved to Virginia, and nothing, you know. My parents, they moved to Virginia because they were having issues in their marriage. So they really weren't supportive. They were trying to get their lives together. So it was just like, make sure you go to school. That was pretty much it, you know?
Yeah, I respect that. And that's the mindset that a lot of people have is school, which is great because I pursued school. And there's many things that you can do even if you don't pursue school. I know a lot of entrepreneurs that don't all have degrees and they're very successful in the businesses. Right. So it's just your choice and what you choose to do. Looks like Nita is is cheering for you. She said, "Go for it, Manny."
Yeah. I'm gonna do something. I just, it's working 10, 12 hours a day, and then I've been doing a lot with the custom t-shirts and stuff like that. So
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. And talking about school, so while Dr. Syme gets his audio together, I'm going to share just a few new laws that I came across that are effective as of 1/1/25. So as of yesterday, effective, and I'm just going to share a few states that were popped up for me. So apparently in Georgia's school voucher program goes into effect this year. The Georgia Education Savings Authority will run the program and provide eligible K-12 students in lower performing schools up to $6,500 in annual funding for private tuition, tutoring, and other qualified education expenses.
Cool.
Another law involves unhoused or homeless voters who will have to register at the county election office and receive any election-related mail. That's interesting.
Yes.
Also this year, the Department of Audits and Accounts will review the state's tax benefits to see how the incentives are performing and if they are truly beneficial. Interesting. That's in Georgia. I'm jumping over now to Texas. So Texas, starting the new year, non-commercial vehicles will no longer need a safety inspection. The result of House Bill 3297. Some non-commercial vehicles will still need emissions testing depending on where the owner lives, and all vehicles will still need to be registered.
Really?
I don't know how I feel about that, though. Like, why would you not inspect the vehicle to make sure it's safe? Like, that's
I mean, in Florida, we don't have inspection. They don't do that here.
¿Por qué?
I don't know.
How do you know if your vehicle is safe?
Did. In Virginia, they did. But in Florida, here, we don't have an emissions law.
Pero ¿cómo tú sabes si el viejo está bien o no?
I don't know. Say. But, I mean, that's like, I don't know. I mean, I keep up with my car, but there's a lot of cars out here that I've seen that, it's crazy.
Okay, interesting, right? And North Carolina. So in North Carolina, let's see. This is really interesting, and this is going to affect a bunch of people, and I really hope that this gets overturned. And again, I'm getting this information from msn.com. So just a heads up for those interested in wanting to do more research. So apparently there's a House Bill 1020, which affects Retirement Administrative Changes Act of the 2024 year, tripling into 2025. And this is for retirement system changes. So beginning yesterday, January 1st, there will be an administrative change to the retirement system for teachers, state employees, local government, and consolidated judicial retirement system, and a legislative retirement system. So it also clarifies changes to employees receiving severance pay. So beginning on January 1st, an employee receiving severance pay, severance pay, and I'm getting all tongue-tied, from an employer
kicking in.
is not eligible to receive a retirement allowance under this new act. I don't know if I like that. That's horrible.
That's crazy. Like, this is why I don't like Social Security and the money that they tax us, because like by the time I hit retirement age, I'm not going to see a lot of that money. Like, I'm not saying that Social Security is going to be null and void at that time, but it's not going to be what it is now, you know? And it's like, you still want me to pay into it the same amount. Like, if I'm going to actually receive any of that money, you know, it's just, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
And these teachers, they don't get paid as it is, you know? And it's like, you're going to take away their pensions as well, like, or the amount of money, or, you know, some type of benefit that they're supposed to get because they have to deal with your child. Yeah, no. Because I know, I don't want to say, you know, I know being a teacher because I've never been a teacher, but I know, you know, teachers go through it because they have to deal with so many different personalities. And it's just crazy.
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that because once Dr. Syme gets on, he's a teacher. He can let us know his experience with that and his thoughts about that.
Right.
I think his audio might be working. Let's see. Looks like we're gonna have you on 2 different screens.
Okay.
There we go.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, we can finally hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
so sorry about that.
Yeah, I think it's because turn the StreamYard off on your computer because we hear the echo.
I can remove him. How about now?
There we go. How's that?
Yeah, there we go. Hey, how's it going?
Hello! Yay! Hey, it happens. Don't worry. We're used to this.
Hey, this is reality TV. You know, this is real. It's live. You know, this is what happens. Technology is technology. So
I'm so glad to see you again after all these years. How are you?
Yeah. Everything is good. It is very low on my camera here.
Okay.
And of course I didn't bring any headphones down with me, so do you have 2 seconds for me to grab earbuds?
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Give me 2 seconds.
Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I know when I was in school, I mean, I wasn't a bad kid. I just cut a lot because I didn't really want to be in school anyway. But like, yeah, sorry, Mom. I cut a lot of school. Like, I remember one time when we were living in Philadelphia, right before we moved to Virginia, the school was right across the street. So like, I would leave to school because my parents were still home. When they left, I'd come home, you know, and not go back to school.
That was so funny.
Yeah. But you know,
what made you hate school? Like, what about school did you not like?
Because I was, like I told you before, and I've told our viewers, I was an introvert. I was antisocial. And I felt like I didn't fit in when I was a kid because I was always overweight. I just felt like people were making fun of me all the time. And I just I didn't like being around crowds, you know? So that's why I didn't really like school. And then, hated math. I love science though. I wish I could remember. I wish I knew where Miss Richardson was at. She was my teacher. Like,
That's awesome.
There we go.
Hey, how's it going?
Better now.
There we go.
Victory. Yes.
Yes. So how's your new year been so far? Uh-oh. We lost.
Can you hear us?
I tried something else. Never mind.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. We can hear you. You're good. Or can you not hear us now? He probably can't hear us. But what kind of student were you? Yes. Inquiring minds want to know.
On a roll.
Oh Lord.
Everything I was, yes. It was, wow. I was one of those over the top. Because with me, it was a competition for myself because I always loved to challenge myself to see how far I can go. Okay. Because I always wanted the best for myself. Oh, like if you even notice, like when you said earlier, I make an effort to look nice. That's just me because I like to always put my best foot forward because you just never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to encounter.
True.
And I did that not only for myself, but just to challenge myself because I was just that type of person. Yeah.
Are we there?
Yes. Can you hear us?
I don't think you can hear us.
Hang on.
But even so, like when I went to Milwaukee High School of the Arts, the school from grade 9 through 12, I had to take 2 city buses just to get to school. And so I would have to wake up bright and early to take the city bus to make a connection to the other city bus. And it took me like almost 2 hours to get to school and come back. But it was worth it. I mean, because I enjoyed school and I loved it. So, but yeah.
Can you hear us now? You wouldn't do that? I would stay home. No, ma'am. 2 city buses. My parents didn't even have money to feed us for real. Because I mean, you know, they didn't finish school, so it's like my grandfather owned a mattress company, and
Oh
that's
wow.
where they worked for a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that we were like dirt poor, but like, you know, we were just getting by. And then it was me and my brother, and then my younger brother came along. So things were really tight, you know?
Gotcha. Looks like we lost him again.
Yeah, I see. We're gonna have to have him back because like the show is almost
Dr.
over.
Syme, can you hear us? He's trying something else now.
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear us?
There we go. Hang on.
There we go.
But yeah, so. And then on top of that, I was doing extracurricular stuff with Strive Media Institute, doing the broadcast journalism. So I stayed really active in high school. Like high school was definitely one of my favorite times growing up. Like I loved it because I was just doing so many extra things. And even so, through Strive Media Institute, the show that I was a part of called Gumbo Television was nominated for a regional Emmy in Chicago for the best children's and teen television show. So that was an honor to be nominated as well.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I always like, okay, so I wanted to be a doctor when I was a kid. Like that was my what do you want to be when you grow up? But you know, of course I'm not a doctor.
Right.
But I just didn't have the support, you know, and then life just happened, you know. I just felt like, and like I told you, I was antisocial, and that just went to the wayside. So
looking back at that time in your life when you were antisocial and you felt like people were making fun of you, didn't feel really comfortable around other people, would you change anything?
Knowing what I know now, yes. I would have been more active and more outgoing. Because I mean, I was a funny person if I knew you, you know, and I was comfortable being around you. But like, I felt like people were making fun of me because, you know, I was always overweight. And not like extremely overweight, but you know, I had a few extra pounds on me. So, that played a lot of, a role in, my self-esteem. And then my parents were non-existent. They were always working. My father, was an avid drug user for quite a bit of my younger life. He stopped after a while, but my parents, they stayed together because of us, because of the kids. And I just feel like that's the wrong reason to stay with somebody because of a child. Because if there is negativity and animosity and in the household, the child is going to feel that energy. You know, it's better to co-parent and be, you know, in different places where y'all can grow and learn to heal and maybe get back together, maybe not. But as long as you continue to nourish that child and make sure that they know that they're loved no matter where you're living, you know. And I learned that from my parents, you know, when they finally split up, it was a bad breakup. Like it was really bad. And I just know that I didn't, you know, I never wanted to go through that because it was painful. Seeing my mom cry all the time, not hearing from my father, hearing the excuses, you know. But that's a part of life. That's what made me a stronger person, you know. It made me want to go that extra mile, you know. So
thank you for sharing that, Benny. Thank you for sharing that, because I know that was a tough time in your life. And I'm looking at like self-esteem statistics, and it's really interesting. According to social.com, they say about around 85% of people are affected by low self-esteem in the world today. That's a lot of people. 85%. And so you being an adult and looking back at little Manny, or even those listeners and viewers, parents, what have you, who have a child that's dealing with low self-esteem, what words of encouragement would you share with them? What would you say to them to help them overcome that?
What I learned in my experience, people are all the same. No matter whether you're a girl or a guy, we all put our pants on the same way. We all bleed the same way. If I get cut or you get cut, it's going to be the same type of cut. We're going to heal the same way. We all have flaws where nobody's perfect. You know, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'd see that, you know, girl over there and she got, you know, Nikes on and, you know, some tight pants and a nice jacket or whatever. And I'm like, damn, she's perfect. Or that guy over there, he got a chain on and, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, why can't I be like that? Don't strive to be anybody but yourself. You're a perfect person. You just are different. Everybody is unique in their own way. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way. You know, nobody helped me say, you know, you're just unique. You know, just be you. I know it's difficult because you feel like you don't fit in and you don't fit this criteria that social media or the society is saying that you should be, but everybody's different, you know. Just be the funny you, the serious you, the brainy you, whatever you are, just be the perfect you, because you can't be everybody else and everybody else can't be you. You know?
That was very nice. Yes, very, very nice. I agree. Be you. Looks like we have Dr. Doug Syme back on, so let's see if his audio is working.
Are we working?
There we go.
Thank God.
Finally.
We get it like so.
Perfect.
There we go.
That works. Yay,
Okay.
we have you on. Praise
Finally.
God. Hey, that means that this conversation is going to be really, really juicy if the enemy's trying to stop you from getting on OND TV.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, first off, how are you? Like Manny was asking earlier, how's your new year going? How's everything going?
Yeah, you know, New Year's is fine. I was playing the 3 nights before New Year's. But that's it. You know.
Cool.
A little
What were
bit
you
tired,
playing?
but that's okay.
Where were you playing at?
I did a thing in Oconomowoc at a steakhouse, and then we do, my girl singer partner and I do some things for Uline Corporation up
Okay.
at their steakhouse in Manitowish Waters.
Oh, okay. I know Uline. Well, I've heard of them before. Yep. I don't know them.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, like, hey, what's going on?
Yep.
So, Dr. Syme, you have such an impressive resume and you're such a musical genius. So tell us, how did this talent foster? How did it grow? How did you know that you wanted to pursue music and do music at an early age?
I was 6, and Mom and Dad signed me up with my auntie for organ lessons in the old style home organ.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't like it. I don't want her to hear this, so. So along about 4th grade, Mom and Dad were like, "Do you want to play guitar?" So that was it. Just very normal, you know, guitar lessons at the local store.
Cool.
That's it.
They don't do that anymore. Like back then, it was just like everybody was so, you know, respectful of each other and each other's spaces. Now it's like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, here's your book and $3 a lesson.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Wow.
amazing.
And walk up. It was 5 blocks from home, so walk up there, take your lesson, walk home.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. So it sounds like you had good support from your parents, where they really supported you in your journey, starting with guitar.
Yeah,
Right.
I think especially Dad understood I should be doing something. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? So he kind of pushed me that way.
Awesome. And the reason why I asked that is because a lot of times parents don't realize how much they can influence a child, especially
Mm-hmm.
their likes and dislikes, especially
Mm-hmm.
when you're really cheering them on, saying, "Hey, you can do this," right?
Right.
And so I'm glad that you shared that you had good support from your father, your mother, and that they were really pushing you to pursue this, and you naturally gravitated to it because the rest is history, it sounds like.
Right.
Um, I think how I want to say it. Every kid needs a way to fit in, and for me, it was music. That's it. Some kids it's sports, some kids it's theater, whatever.
Right.
But every
What?
kid should try to find some way to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Right. So what does music mean to you? Like, as a musician, as an actor, as a theater, as any type of artist, their art and their whatever they do means something to them. What does music mean to you?
Um, a musician's job. I would talk with students all the time. A musician's job is to share their view with the rest of the world through music.
Mm-hmm.
If you're theater major, it's through theater. If you're an artist, it's obviously through art.
Right.
But with music, we offer our opinion on the world.
Right. Right.
Sometimes verbally, sometimes not.
That's
We all
powerful.
know that. Does that make sense? I hope.
Yes, complete sense. Because I've seen some guitarists, like there's a group that plays at some local places here, and I've seen the good, and like he plays the guitar, and you could just tell the passion that he has, because his whole body language and it's just you can feel how he feels when he's playing that guitar.
Mhm.
It's amazing. Yeah, definitely amazing.
I love
Before
seeing
you,
passionate musicians where they're really
yes.
into it. You can just feel it. They
Hmm.
exude the passion that they have. That to me is just is
Right.
impressive, remarkable.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yep.
So Manny, you had a question earlier while Dr. Syme was getting his audio together with regards to teaching. Remember what you were mentioning about teaching and kids in school?
Oh yeah. So first of all, what kind of teacher are you? Are you one of those friendly teachers, or are you strictly by the book type? Because I know there's some
No,
teachers that no. I love
Yeah,
definitely
teachers
not.
like you.
Um,
I love it.
I think in my case, it comes from a vast amount of experience in the real world.
Right.
And so, what I'd had one kid he was kind of a pain in high school, but he gets a gig after school with the Mighty Clouds of Joy,
Okay.
which is a classic old gospel group.
Okay.
And he's talking to me, and I said, "Well, did I ever lie to you?" And he starts laughing. He says, "No, you sure didn't." I said, "Well, do you show up late for rehearsal? Do you show up inebriated? Do you show up not dressed correctly?"
All right.
"Oh, God, no." I said, "Well, okay. Then I guess I did my job,
All right.
at least
Exactly.
partly."
Exactly. And teachers like you that aren't strict and actually um put yourself in your students' shoes, they have a more impact on the child, I think, because they're able to be vulnerable with you because they can relate,
Yeah.
in some type of way, you know.
Well, and we all know Sonny knows this. We all know it. if you perform at all, you are vulnerable.
Right.
And you got to throw it out there. And
Right.
you better, how do you say it? You better have enough positive image to be able to withstand a little bit of
Right.
negativity, perhaps. Right?
Right. Of course.
It's. I used to get chastised sometimes by colleagues for teaching contracts, and I was like, "Look, I got kids over 18 in my program. They need to know this."
Right. Of course. Because
well,
there's that business is a shrewd business, and they need to know, before they get taken. Because there's a lot of people that have been in the business that don't have what they're supposed to, what they were entitled to because they didn't know,
and at 18, you can get your butt in a lot of trouble.
Right.
You're not careful.
Right.
Exactly.
So, and I had one funny story about that. One of my kids a couple of years ago goes on the road with Drum, the rapper with the broccoli song.
Dram.
Okay. And they went on the Tonight Show with Erykah Badu.
Okay.
And he says to me, "Man, Dr. Syme, all these other guys were just signing this stuff and throwing it back. I sat there and read every bit of it." And I'm like, "Good for you."
Right. Exactly.
Good. Not that they're trying to do anything bad, but you don't know.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's business, and that's part of the whole spectrum. It's not just entertainment. It's not just, you giving people your art. You have to actually make sure that you take care of the business side, because if not, you could get in trouble or they can take advantage of you,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think half of your business is being sure you're prepared and how you conduct yourself.
Right.
You think you're gonna go to gig and just be inebriated or whatever? Okay, try. I don't suggest it.
Exactly.
Awesome. So I remember I was telling Manny just how fun high school was. We were able to get the best of both worlds with just being able to practice the arts and craft that we love, but then also get educated in English and math and science. And so being a teacher, I know Manny was mentioning it, he remembers how he used to be as a student. Being a teacher, what would you say is one of the most challenging tasks that you have?
Right.
I think we saw the demographics change over 25 years. I can give you actual numbers. Senny, when you went to school, 45% impoverished.
Wow.
When I retired, 86%.
Right.
What?
So only about 15% of the kids that are not impoverished.
Right. Yeah.
That's a major difference from when you went there.
Right.
Yeah, because this was long ago.
I had a kid during COVID. Excuse me. Dad was throwing her bed and things out on the front lawn.
Wow.
And so you've got to take care of that. I think the material you teach in that, you always tweak that. You always try to be better. Of course you do. But, boy, I think dealing with an inner city environment, it's tough to deal sometimes with those parents and that.
Right.
And with an administration that does nothing. And sends them back to class with a lollipop.
All right. I agree.
Wow.
I agree. Yeah. There's not a lot of teachers that really care because they feel like, they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to lose their jobs. But there's kids out there that don't believe in school, or don't believe in, their self-esteem is so low that they feel like nobody cares, and then they get that one teacher that really cares, and it could change their life for the better, for the worse.
Right. And let me say this: 25 years. I don't think I really ever met a teacher who did not care.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big misconception.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers are different. We're all different.
Right.
So, I think the idea that these teachers don't care. We also realize kids going to have to read and be able to do some math and conduct themselves properly in the real world.
Right.
And for me, it was through music.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and yeah, I will say this. I salute you with being a teacher, and to all those teachers out there, because I agree. Even witnessing myself as a student, as a fellow student, how some of those people acted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it was, Milwaukee HS we have bad kids. No, I think pretty much everybody I encountered at school and in high school was great. Middle school, on the other hand, was chaotic. I felt like I was at the zoo in middle school.
Middle school teachers go straight to heaven.
It was chaotic in middle school, and when I went to high school, it was like night and day. And I'm like, wow, like what happened? But then, being older now and sitting back and seeing a lot of these traits and tendencies and personalities, they learn it from home. These kids come from home learning these personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, prime example, and I think I've shared this with you, Manny, before, but Dr. Syme, I still remember when I was in K4 in elementary school, there was 2 students that dressed up really baggy. They were always like throwing gang signs and cussing and this and that. You know why? Because later I found out that their parents were involved in stuff they should not be getting involved in.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward to today, one of them became America's Most Wanted by the U.S. Marshals, and the other one is locked up because they've done killed everybody.
Wow.
So again, it's done from home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you progress and grow, if you don't grow out of that mentality, that's going to follow you.
Right.
Yep.
So
it's
tough.
We've seen that a lot. I started my first 3 years at Vincent High School, which is a much rougher school. And I've looked some of those kids up since then. Yeah, and 2 years later, they're in jail.
Right.
For something stupid. Not,
Right. And what I don't get is they try to blame the teachers. They try to blame the school system. But it comes from home. Like, the kids aren't at school, for a long period of time. They get their personality traits and, their behavioral attitudes from home, and
there was a study done that determined kids' backgrounds, and only 20% comes from school. 20% comes from your neighborhood, church, etc. 60% comes from home.
Wow.
Thanks for confirming that. Absolutely.
I agree.
And that's a real peer-reviewed study.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree.
And even
when you figure 20% in school, that's school overall. So how much difference does that one teacher really make?
Right.
Maybe I had an influence on certain kids more than others, but for the most part.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of parents and listeners, viewers, etc., just be mindful. And most of you may know this already, but there's a good amount that I personally know that don't realize this. A lot of the behaviors that you see in your children come from home. So maybe it's time to really self-evaluate in the new year to see what are the things I can change for the positive, for the better, to make sure that my child, son, daughter, what have you, if you're raising a cousin or whoever you're raising, that they can have a better and more positive experience growing up, because this does influence them not only in school, but with their peers and as they age and get older, right? Because a lot of these qualities that you're showing them today, they're going to grow into them. And if they're not ambitious enough to try to either look more or grow more into a certain area, they're going to grow thinking that that's accurate.
Right.
When it may when there may be an opportunity to change for the better. So
Mhm.
just be mindful of that in the new year. What better way can we interact differently with our children, with our kids? And
You know, what
especially,
did my dad always teach me? He used to say to me, kid, if I don't fix some of these things, society's gonna, and it's not gonna be very pleasant.
Right.
So that's why your dad is fixing these things right now.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's what it is.
and so Dr. Syme, at what point did you decide out of all the professions that you wanted to be a teacher? Because you could have been anything else. You know, you started off with your music, with the guitar, but why a teacher out of all the things? What really drove you
It's
or attracted you to that profession?
it's a couple things, and the good side of it is you should always get better. And we can't. There won't be any other good musicians if somebody is not developing them.
Right.
People develop me. I had great respect for my high school band director. Used to go see him at the music store he taught at for decades after. And the
Right.
first question he would ask me, how's your program going? How many kids are in it? What are you teaching? Blah, 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 blah,
Right.
until he was 78 years old. Um, the other side of it is, if you want to do music, you can't make a living playing and gigging. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
Think what you want. I know guys, oh yeah, all I do is gig. And then you find out on the download they're dealing or they're doing something else. You have to have a base income. I
Right.
think Sonny, you've lived here. It's very seasonal. You can make a living in the summer.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
From September when it gets cold out, you got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And it's not steady enough. It doesn't pay enough. Teaching worked out great because let me think how I can describe this here. I would be ridiculously busy at the end of May, and then when teaching stopped, my gigs blew up, and I was stupidly busy.
Right.
But all those festivals, etc., ended September, and that's when I went back to school teaching.
Right. Hmm.
So it worked out very well.
Right. That definitely worked out for you.
Yeah,
So
that's
teaching's
awesome.
not for everybody.
Right. Yeah. Because that was the question I was going to ask you. How did you manage all those personalities? Like the female personalities, the male personalities, just the different personalities in general.
So Sandy knows this too. What you all do. There's a lot of egos.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I have a funny story about that. We were playing for Sidney Moncrief's book signing, the Milwaukee Buck coach at that time.
Okay.
And I was talking to one of the directors of the Bucks, and we started talking about egos and sometimes the problem you have with 16-year-old kids who just think they've arrived.
Right.
And I'm like, and he said, we have that in the NBA. There are kids who lose contracts because they're not coachable.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they think because nobody through high school or college ever disciplined them, they get to the pros and they go, get your butt back on defense. And they're like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Wow.
And it ends up costing NBA players millions. So, the ego thing is, sometimes you have to kind of step out. Everybody grows up. I've had plenty of kids come back to me and be like, man, I didn't act so nice. Okay.
All right.
Well, you just got to kind of calmly stay after it a little bit. I guess that's the best I can do.
All right.
I don't think it helps with today's kids to just hammer at them.
No.
Right.
Because
This
they're not
generation
for
they
that.
don't care. The generation this day, they don't care. A lot of kids don't really.
They don't have much ambition, I've noticed.
No.
They're just worried about their phones and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and what have you. It's like, sir, ma'am, sit down and think, like, is this going to help pay your bills when you get older and you leave mom and dad's house?
That part.
If you leave
if you're a brilliant content creator, then it could definitely help your bills. Right. But what's the likelihood of that happening?
Exactly.
I think there's a lot of false things being thrown at kids. You know, girls thinking OnlyFans is going to make you a millionaire. Okay, good luck. Good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
That part.
Then that was kind of my biggest problem when people talk to me about pronouns and gender issues and that. I was like, I don't care. What I thought being for a lot of kids was just some attention-seeking stuff.
Right.
In some cases. Not everybody. Nothing is everything. But there was a lot of kids where it's like, are you practicing your instrument? Are you learning your lines?
Mm-hmm.
Are you working on your paintings? No, you're worried about whether or not I'm violating your pronouns.
Right. That's more important, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't get it. I don't.
And I'm not. Senny knows this too. There was always a lot of homosexual kids at arts, etc. Because in a lot of ways, let's just be realistic, they weren't getting beat up and picked on. The arts is more accepting.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, I think we were by and large more accepting. So, you know, it isn't that we've never seen that kind of thing before. But boy, it sure got shoved into the forefront.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yep.
Wow, that's interesting.
It has nothing to do with education.
At all.
No.
At all. At all.
That just shows the level of brainwashing that's happening. It's scary and it's sad, and it's just only, oh God. I mean, I'm praying that it gets better, but you know, at one point it get better.
I don't see it getting any better.
The stats that you shared, Dr. Syme, when I was in school, the percentage of poverty compared to as of this past year, that's what, doubled?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. And so it's really bizarre, and it just shows you. I call it the hamster wheel effect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not only what these students are learning at home, but then if you see it happening at home, oh, it's okay because mom and dad are doing it. And then you get into the real world and you're going to follow the hamster wheel effect because you saw mom and dad doing that. And now you're going to do what mom and dad did. And then you're going to have a child and they're going to do what mom and dad did. And at what point does that cycle break? At what point does the hamster get out of the wheel to say, I'm going to stop to this?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
We could go on for days about that.
Right.
You know, things that need to stop.
Mm-hmm. But it never will because there's not enough money for people to sustain life. Single families. You could have 2 jobs and still not be able to pay all your bills. But you make too much to get a government assistance. You can't be working at all to be able to get government assistance. And it's just right.
Well, and that's the biggest problem with public schools too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they're they're doing what they do with healthcare, etc. They don't underfund them.
Right.
And then go look, it's not working.
Right. And then they blame the teachers because it's not working. Like, it's not working because you're not putting money into the programs, you know? So,
well, and especially with middle school, etc., you can't have 50 kids in a class. And that's happening, and those are real numbers.
All right.
Think about 50 seventh graders.
All right.
You'll start drinking early. You know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't teach, and they're not going to learn.
Right.
It's
There was an interesting story one time with a guy who ran a very successful alternative school for kids who were this far out of prison, okay, etc. And this host was asking him, well, what are you doing? You know, how do you do that? And expecting some kind of an answer about, well, just hug them and love them. And he just goes, money. We only have 5 kids in the class. If that one kid I accept, we remove them. And we give them a one-on-one tutor until such time that they're ready to come back to a class of 5.
all right.
Well, do you think every kid would learn math if they were in a group of 5?
All right.
It's a small number, so yeah,
Right.
they should be able to focus and learn math.
Sure.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I've heard certain politicians say, oh, there's no proof that class size means anything. Oh, okay.
I beg to differ. I personally experienced that when I went to Milwaukee, UW Milwaukee, and I started my bachelor's degree. A communications class, over 300 kids. I only felt like a number, and the teacher had no clue who my name was.
Right.
Then fast forward to my master's degree when I went to Central, and also my bachelor, because I finished my bachelor's at Central when I moved to North Carolina. We only the max size was, I would say, the max 8, 9 kids, and they knew me by name, and I felt the warm greeting from the professor showing me like, hey, I feel good that my professor knows my name, knows if I've missed class, they care, like, hey, I saw you didn't come to, so there's a difference. So whoever said that, I'm concerned that they're even a politician.
Well, I mean, I think they're basing it on, like you said, college numbers, the class sizes and college numbers. The brain capacity that a college person has as compared to a middle school or high school kid, like, it's not the same. It's really not the same. And then they know that they're paying for school, so they have to actually pay attention. With middle school and high school, it's not being paid for unless you're going to private school. Then, I don't know. It's just the government is really falling short on they push so much on education, but yet that's the least amount of money that they put in the budget for education. So why do you keep pushing education if you're not going to push money towards it to help? Because, like I said, before, the teachers don't get paid a lot, and I mean, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for the gigs that you had on the off season, you would, I'm not saying, you'd be in poverty, but you wouldn't be where you at right now,
No, we wanted to do pretty well.
All right.
And it's, again, you can't make a living gigging.
Right.
But boy, if I can go out and make $100 an hour as a part-time thing, I'll take it.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So, yeah. And as far as the numbers thing, I remember asking Robert Syme, like, what was the ideal number for choir? And he said 45. So that's a big number. For that class, that's what you want.
Right.
Because it was choir, right? That's a different class.
Right.
You want more people, more voices, and that makes perfect sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But for a math class or a science class, I mean, that's more retainability. With choir, I loved it, and I love the fact that we can hear the voices and the echoes and the acoustics, and it was beautiful with a large number. Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you guys had some voices too, so.
Yeah, we did. Oh, I miss high school a little bit. We had some good times. Dr. Syme will tell you, we had some really good times. It was really dope. And fun fact, Manny, if you hear Dr. Syme call me Senny, that's because that's my nickname growing up, was Senny. Before I turned, and actually it's short. It fits my name, so it's Yesenia. So I went from Senny to Yessie. The first 5 characters versus the middle characters. So, just food for thought,
Oh, the reminiscing. That's so cute.
It's so funny, Manny. So, Dr. Syme, what is up next? I'm sure you have a lot of amazing things coming up, especially now that you've retired.
Yeah, getting my kids at Whitewater ready for their next step.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting challenge. You're not getting them into college now, and getting them into the real world.
Right.
So, gigs are gigs. I don't think it changes a whole lot. This thing I did last weekend, I've done it for 10 years now.
Okay.
So do a good job. Mrs. Yulin was happy as ever. Okay. Good. I've got a bunch of rental properties, so I'm somewhat busy with that.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
Otherwise, it's been kind of fun just to practice again.
Cool.
Get the guitar out, play whatever I want.
Right.
I got one 2 feet behind me.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe finally do my own album after I've watched my students do about 5,000 of them.
That would be cool.
Maybe it's my turn. Yeah.
That would definitely be cool. What would you do? What genre?
What I really wanted to do is an album with all my students and have everybody like on an individual track.
Oh, okay.
So I got one kid that's a really good Chicago blues guy. Then we do a blues track. A couple of my funky kids, we do a funk track.
That's awesome.
Straight ahead, etc., etc.
All right. That'd be cool. That would definitely be cool.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely put that out in the air. Let the universe take that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna do it at some point.
That's definitely.
And nowadays, you know how it is. I got Pro Tools on the same machine here. Everybody does.
All right.
Just use the Pro Tools and get it popping. Right. There you go, Manny. Because Manny mentioned earlier he wanted to get into singing. So there you go. Download some Pro Tools.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, we are transitioning into our last minute words segment of the show.
Yes. So I'm not even going to let her say it. I'm going to do it myself because we always do it that way.
Okay.
I'm going to open it up. So what I usually say, never let the fear of failure overcome the righteousness of success. So this is perfect for this episode because you're a teacher and you've molded so many students. And like you just said, you have some students that are great musicians and they're actually taking their talents and utilizing them. They're not letting the failure of, the school system or whatever their personal life had going on, interfere with the success that they wanted to have in their career. So kudos to them. And I applaud you for being able to put yourself in your students' shoes and be able to help them, grow and become the musicians that they are, and not just musicians, because I feel that you had a role to play in their personalities as well, because you can't be a good musician without having a good personality and a good support system, because if you don't have anybody supporting you, what are you going to strive for? How are you going to strive if you're the only one that's supporting you? So I feel like you helped them, you paved the way for them to become those, musicians. So I definitely applaud you for that.
Thank you. I mean, it takes a village. It's not, again, you can't take away their own self-drive, their push, I think you just sort of guide them to push down the straightaway.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's going to go 300 miles an hour.
Right.
No matter what.
But you were that guy that said, you know what, you could do it, even if their parents were saying, you know what, why are you wasting your time? You
Oh,
have
yeah.
to have a 9 to 5 job because you're not going
Oh,
to
yeah.
make anything, becoming a musician. And you were that guy that said, you know what, go for it,
I had a teacher say that to my own dad
Right,
because he was worried about me making a living. And the
right,
teacher grabbed him and said, and it was at the bank. And he said, Doug's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. He'll find his way.
right.
And it did a lot to calm my dad down.
Wow. Yeah. But that's amazing. That's definitely amazing. But you can find me on social media, Arthur Manuel Morales, on IG and Instagram. Well, that is the same. IG and Facebook. ArthurManuelMorales.com. If you want a copy of my book, just DM me. I'll autograph it and send it out. And I got a couple movies coming out, so stay tuned for those. Yeah. Now it's your turn, Dr. Syme. We usually do what we do is we give an inspirational quote or just something to inspire the viewers or that child that's out there that wants to become a guitarist or drummer or a theater or opera singer or whatever, and they feel like they can't do it because their life situation isn't aligning with what they want to do. And then how our followers can find you and keep abreast of what you got on.
A quote that would.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a quote. Even if you have just words of inspiration, last-minute words, whatever it is that comes to mind.
Sure, don't let anybody tell you can't. But at the same time, don't be dumb about it. Get some training.
Right.
And listen to your teachers. And if you take everything in, and if you want to be Beyonce, figure out why she is the way she is.
Right.
Realistically, what is she doing that I guess for musicians, I will give you a quote that I was given by my teacher. Two things. For teachers, you can't teach your students anything if you don't know anything. Right. And trust me, there's plenty out there like that. Right. And number two, it's very easy to be a hero to a bunch of idiots.
Right.
It's very difficult to be considered an artist by a bunch of musicians.
Right. Exactly. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
And you know what I'm talking about. You don't base your ego on whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Be realistic about what's going on.
Right.
And work at it. Work at it. Work at it.
Yeah. Consistency. Yes.
Yeah.
Consistency is definitely key.
If you want to be a musician, you better be listening every night. And don't listen to Jay-Z and expect to sound like Ellington.
Right.
Doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
All of that's important. And for young musicians, and this is true too. Boy, I would even say this to high school kids. I'm not going to tell you, well, just stay away from like drugs and alcohol, but keep your eye on it and keep yourself away from getting too deep.
Right.
Because it's there, and I would not. I don't want to sound like whatever, but it's there, and it's very prominent.
Right. Exactly. And there's been a lot of musicians that have fell and just are wasted talent because of the drugs and alcohol.
Right.
We had one at Arts, little older than Penny, drank himself to death at 31.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's sad. Oh my.
And he had a brilliant national career.
Wow.
So yes, that's good advice. And how can people find you if they want to follow you, know more about your upcoming bookings and gigs, want to reach out to you, etc.?
I would say just look at my Facebook page, or look at, if you want just the duo that I do most, there's a page, just Allie and Doug. Yeah.
Okay.
And it comes right up on a Facebook search.
All right. That's
Allie,
awesome.
Ally, and
No.
Doug.
ALI.
ALI, Allie and Doug.
Yep.
Okay, ALI and Doug.
That's it.
Okay, awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Yessie?
Yes. So my part is a little bit more, because I am going to say thank you. Yeah, long-winded for sure. So with closing up the show comes a thank you to all the listeners, the viewers, the sponsors. Dr. Syme, thank you so much for your presence today, for being here and teaching us, allowing us to step a little bit into your world of not only music as a guitarist, but as a teacher, and reminding us of how challenging and rewarding being a teacher can be, because you get to see the good, bad, and the ugly. So that was definitely a good walk down memory lane for me, because it's been 20 years since I graduated. Well, now it's 21. I know I'm aging myself. Oh God, y'all didn't hear that. Yeah. Okay. Y'all didn't hear that. But yes, it's been many years since I graduated high school, and I will say it was definitely a rewarding time in my life. All of the teachers I had, the professors, etc. You all really impacted me in a positive way. And so I know you all are continuing to do that with other generations. It's just contingent on the student and how much they want to receive what you have to offer. Right. So yes. And also thank you to our sponsors. We're going to go to a quick break with our sponsors, starting with Collective Wear, followed by author Manny Morales, and also Divine Beauty and Accessories. So we'll be right back.
Sponsored by Collective Wear. Sponsored by author Manny Morales. Sponsored by Divine Beauty and Accessories. Watch Hoy en Día TV, Thursdays, 7:30 p.m.
And for those who want to be a sponsor for Hoy en Día TV, we do have sponsor packages available. Just email the email that is rolling by at the bottom of your screen, hoyendiatv@gmail.com. Also, if you want to be a featured guest on our show, you are more than welcome. We invite you. Just be mindful that we are booked out till July and on. So we're already booked out half of 2025. Praise be to God. Yes. That is how big Hoy en Día TV is growing. You can watch us on YouTube, IG, Facebook. You can listen to us on Deezer, RSS, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music. What am I missing? I'm missing several.
You forgot the biggest one, iHeartRadio. Come on now.
You can listen to us on a lot of platforms, because we are a podcast /
everything except Apple Music, because you're not an Apple person, so we can't get you on Apple Music, but you can get us everywhere else.
Manny's work on getting us on Apple Music. So once Manny works his magic, then we'll be on Apple Music. But for right now, we're on everywhere else but Apple Music. So voila. But yeah, thank you all. And also, like I usually say with my ending quote, for those who always say the sky is the limit, just be mindful that the sky is not the limit. And this is why. There's a Kármán line that is the boundary 62 miles above the sea level that borders the Earth's atmosphere at the beginning of space. And what does this mean? This means that each and every time you tell yourself or say to someone, the sky's the limit, you are technically, mentally putting a barrier within yourself, because there's that barrier, the Kármán line barrier. The quote that I made up many, many years ago, the sky is never the limit because the galaxies are endless. Thank you for tuning into Hoy en Día TV. Till next time. Oh, Angie stream.